Let's watch
In December
this.
of 2022, the authorities in Northern Ireland came across a bizarre crime scene where the most likely suspect was somehow in two places at once. It all started on the 18th of December when Irish YouTuber VoteSaxon07, whose real identity is 33-year-old Stephen McCullen, live-streamed himself playing GTA Vice City. The stream started at around 6 p.m. and Stephen stayed live for about 6 hours, till midnight. The stream itself was quite unremarkable, with Stephen playing the game mostly in silence, broken by his occasional commentary. Unfortunately, while he was streaming comfortably in his home, his 32-year-old girlfriend, Natalie McNally, was going through something downright horrific. Stephen, however, was completely unaware of this and promptly went to sleep after ending the stream. The next day, he woke up to a barrage of calls and messages regarding Natalie. She was apparently at her parents' house the night before to watch the World Cup finale. The match ended at around 6 p.m. and Natalie went back to her home shortly after, which wasn't too far away. She lived alone in Northern Ireland with her 2 cats and a dog. However, the next day, no one could get through to Natalie. She didn't show up to work and wasn't picking up her phone either. At the time, she was also 15 weeks pregnant with Stephen's child. So when she went silent, her friends and family grew worried, fearing she was facing some health concerns. After learning about her absence and waiting a few hours for a response, Stephen went to her home, which was about 20 minutes away from his home in Lisburn. Unfortunately, he was too late. When Stephen arrived at Natalie's home, the door was wide open. Inside, he found her lifeless on the floor. She had been killed.
God. Oh my
Detectives
God.
from the major investigation team.
This is why y'all niggas gotta live together with y'all partners, especially if she pregnant. Like, how you gonna leave her by herself when she pregnant, yo?
Have now launched
No
a murder
fucking
investigation
way. Yo, that
following
shit just
the
gave me
death of
chills,
Natalie
bro.
McNally in Lurgan. This follows the results of the post-mortem. The 32-year-old died a violent death, having been stabbed a number of times, and there are signs of defensive injuries.
Post-mortem reports showed that she was killed on the night of December 18th, not long after she came back from her parents' home. However, investigators did not find any evidence of a forced entry into her home. This, combined with the fact that Stephen was the one who reported her death to the police, made him the lead suspect in her murder investigation, and he was arrested shortly after. However, this arrest didn't last long, because as the authorities quickly found out, Stephen had a strong alibi. According to the post-mortem report, Natalie was killed during the same time Stephen was live streaming from his home. Investigators looked through Natalie's phone and found the last text Stephen sent to her at 5:57 p.m., which read, "Right, I'm off to stream the night away. Wish me luck." To which Natalie replied, "I might have a peek at your live stream later." This was enough to clear Stephen's name from any wrongdoing, but it left investigators with no clear direction on where to look next. Stephen did give them the name of someone he suspected. However, investigating that person didn't lead to any breakthrough in the case either, and the name of this person was never made public for this reason. Luckily, detectives found CCTV footage a few days later showing a man dressed in dark clothes and white shoes heading
no
towards
way it
Natalie's
was
home
them,
at
yo.
8:52 p.m.
He was live streaming. How the fuck could have been him?
And then the same person going back about 40 minutes later. Given his timing, investigators determined that this was the killer. Shockingly, he had the same height and build as Stephen. This put him on the radar once again, but it also raised a valid question. If Stephen was the perpetrator, how could he be in two places at the same time?
Oh my God. A pre-recorded stream. I just got chills. I just got chills all over my fucking body.
Without any other option, the authorities put a £20,000 reward for information regarding the killer and continued investigating. They also feared that by the time they started this investigation, the killer could have easily fled to any of the neighboring countries. In the meantime, Natalie's case had become national news, resulting in multiple memorials around the country. This put even more pressure on the investigators to find the killer as quickly as possible. They made several arrests and even seized the suspect's car. Investigators also found the weapon the killer used on the 5th of January 2023, which was a knife from her own home. However, none of these developments brought them any closer to identifying the killer. That is until January 31st, when they arrested Stephen again, but this time with solid evidence.
Yo, look at this nigga. Oh, hell nah. It was definitely this nigga. He's fucked up. Just look. He's all fat. He's off of everything.
As it turns out, the only thing keeping him out of suspicion, the live stream,
The live
was
stream.
completely fake. The
I
whole
said
thing
it.
was pre-recorded and
Pre-recorded.
broadcasted to simply look like a live stream.
Oh my fucking
After
god,
his
it was
arrest,
him.
investigators went through his computer and found the original recording, which was made on the 14th of December, 4 days before the incident.
It was him.
They also found a taxi driver who described picking up someone matching Stephen's profile near the murder at 9:30 p.m. and then dropping this person near Stephen's house. Most importantly, according to the taxi driver, this passenger had forgotten his wallet at home, so he quickly ran inside his house to get the money. And as expected, he ran into Stephen's home. All this evidence left no doubt in the fact that Stephen was the one who went to Natalie's home to commit a predetermined crime.
Yo.
In hindsight, there were plenty of suspicious moments
He
during the
killed his
fake live
own
stream that
wife?
should have raised more alarms. For starters, the stream was titled The Violent Night Christmas Live Gaming Stream. At the start of the stream, Stephen also claimed that he was having technical issues with the streaming software, which he used as an excuse as to why he wouldn't be able to interact with the live chat.
Well, because this streaming software is kind of up the left, it means I can't check the live chat, which is a real shame. So, by all means, talk amongst yourselves.
This ensured that no one questioned why he wasn't talking with his viewers,
Oh
which
my
is essentially the
fucking
whole point of
God,
doing a
yo.
stream instead of posting a
I'm
pre-recorded video.
saying.
At the start of the stream, Stephen made sure to repeatedly mention what day it was.
Hello to all on this glorious Sunday evening. Yeah, so I just thought, why not? I'm gonna do a live stream because this day next week is Christmas. So what more could you want for Christmas other than an evening with your old pal Stephen?
Yo, this
This was
guy's
likely an
sick
effort
in
to
the
make his
head.
alibi stronger and to say, look, I was streaming the same night. I even mentioned the day at the beginning. On top of that, many moments in the stream also took on a far more disturbing meaning after the truth came out. Like him singing about killing someone in-game, which can also be interpreted as him cryptically talking about his girlfriend.
I need to kill it. I need to take her down. 'Cause I won't pass the mission if I don't get this guitar.
This guy is sick in the head.
At another point during the stream,
He's
he
not
makes a
real,
pun
bro.
that sounds like Natalie's name and finds it unusually amusing.
Yeah, that's physics. That's what would happen in the real world. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The most creepy moment, however, was about halfway through
Yo, look at his face. Look at his face.
talking about his girlfriend.
I need to kill it.
Wait, I went back a little bit too much.
Absolutely.
Look at his face, Chad.
Absolutely.
Nah.
The most creepy
Nah.
moment, however, was
This
about
guy is
halfway through
weird
the
as hell.
stream. While he was on break, suddenly the live stream back soon graphic switched with a poster of a James Bond movie called No Time to Die. Stephen later claimed that this was an accident. He accidentally dropped his controller on the keypad, which made the strange graphic come up. But since we now know that the live stream was pre-recorded, Stephen deliberately included this graphic at this point during the editing, likely alluding to the crime he was going to commit on that day.
This
This
is
theory
like-
becomes even more credible once you consider the fact that this movie poster came up at about 9:15 p.m., which perfectly aligns with the time he was at Natalie's house committing the brutal crime. That said, his clever schemes were derailed and he was charged with murder. He was also
Miss McNally was stabbed and beaten to death at her Silverwood Green home in Lurgan, whatever the fuck that is, December 18 last year. 33 Woodland Gardens, and what are these fucking names, bro? Was refused bail on charge of carrying out her murder.
refused bail. And at the time of writing, he's awaiting trial on May 6, 2025. Hopefully,
Wait, what was? This shit took place a minute ago, and trial started
Natalie and her
in
family
this
can
year.
get the justice they deserve.
That's crazy. That nigga
On
need
April
life.
4th, 2020, Ernest Wilson went live on Facebook during a house party, without knowing that these were his final moments alive. Ernest was a 24-year-old warehouse worker living in Baltimore, Maryland. The only passion he had in life was for partying, playing board games, and turning them into drinking games. Unfortunately, the 2020 pandemic and the subsequent lockdown closed every public venue he frequented. So he decided to take matters in his own hands and came up with a solid plan. He would rent Airbnbs, host an invite-only party which he referred to as a game night with a fee to cover the expenses, and have a good time with his friends. These parties started off small but quickly grew in numbers as more and more people became aware of them. And on April 3rd, he went onto Facebook to plan another party that weekend, asking, "Should I do game nights again this weekend?" And, "We playing hide and seek at game night tonight?" After receiving enough confirmations, he decided to go ahead with the plans and announced a 2-day game night with free entry for girls and a $5 fee for the guys. Not long after this announcement, he also made a post about bringing uninvited people, stating, "Please don't show up with nobody I didn't personally invite if we didn't discuss it first. They're going to get left outside." Maybe he had experienced problems with uninvited guests at past events.
He's
or
smart,
maybe he simply wanted to know the
but it
exact
still
number of
wasn't enough.
attendees ahead of time. But
He was
in
taking some
hindsight, his
precautions.
concern makes a lot more sense. As the night approached, Ernest started the event, and it went just as well as he could have hoped, with everyone dancing and having a good time. That is until 2:30 a.m. when the group decided to play the hide-and-seek game they discussed earlier. Ernest took charge as the first seeker and began a countdown at the Airbnb's backyard.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
However, as soon as he
Seven,
began searching for his friends, he stumbled upon something
Alright,
completely unexpected.
That's it. I'm done. I'm done.
2, 3. Who the is that, G? I don't know. Get your Get your on the other side of this gate. Who the? Now, this can't be one of my friends.
He saw someone trying to jump the fence and break into the property. Now, the correct response would have been to go back inside to safety and call the cops on this intruder.
Bro.
However, Ernest was
Or
already a
fight
bit
that
under
nigga.
the influence at the time and made the biggest mistake of his life. He decided to confront the man on his own, and that's when things took a turn. The intruder was armed, and after some back and forth, tragically shot Ernest before fleeing the scene, all of which could be heard on the live stream.
Oh, he was live?
The police arrived at the property at 2:45 a.m.
I didn't
where they
even
found
hear them
Ernest
shot.
lying in a pool of his own blood. According to the few statements that were released to the public, this appeared to be a case of a robbery gone wrong. However, some believe there was more to the story. This is because during Ernest's struggle with the intruder, a girl can be heard laughing in the background. As the story goes, this girl was an accomplice of the intruder who planned to either rob the place or eliminate Ernest for some reason, with one person on YouTube writing, "That girl tried to let someone in the front door, or she knew who tried coming through the door. Once discovering it was locked, she told them to hop the fence as clear as day. I would start with her boyfriend." Unfortunately, from what I can find, the police never caught the suspect, and Ernest's case remains open to this day. So, whatever their motive was, I doubt we'll ever know, especially 5 years
crazy
later.
how cases could be open for so long. Damn.
On September 7th, 2024, a 32-year-old man by the name of Joseph Couch opened fire on vehicles traveling down I-75 near the city of London, Kentucky. He managed to hit 12 cars, injuring 5 people. Fortunately, there were no fatalities. As authorities rushed to his location, Joseph managed to escape into the wooded area alongside the highway. This left the investigators with no choice but to search the Daniel Boone National Forest, hoping to find the mass shooter. In the meantime, they also began looking into Joseph's past and made some chilling discoveries. He served in the Army Reserve from 2013 to 2019 before receiving an honorable discharge due to him developing PTSD. More importantly, this wasn't his first entanglement with law enforcement. Back in 2015, he was arrested for throwing a rock at a dog and then pointing an AR-15 at its owner. Joseph had to pay $1,000 for bail, and the case was later dismissed a few months later. However, the same year he was arrested again, this time for supplying a minor with alcohol and vandalizing private property with spray paint. This resulted in him having to spend 6 months in jail, alongside 200 hours of community service and a $1,500 fine. All of this highlighted just how mentally unstable he was. something that became even more apparent when investigators factored in the messages he sent to his ex before the shooting. These read, "I'm going to kill a lot of people. Well, at least try. I'll myself afterwards." His past record and these texts also made it clear that Joseph wouldn't go down without a fight if they managed to find him. Unfortunately, the search for him wasn't progressing as smoothly as they'd hoped.
The search for the suspected highway gunman, Joseph Couch, intensifies as law enforcement has expanded its search efforts. State police say they are extending their search deeper into the Daniel Boone National
looks like a
Forest as the
GTA
manhunt for
character.
Couch enters day 7.
Local agencies were forced to close a section of I-75 and shut down schools, fearing Joseph might strike again. Eventually, they did manage to find his SUV, which also had numerous cases of ammo for the AR-15 style rifle he used for the shooting. However, this didn't provide any clues about his current whereabouts. In a desperate measure, the authorities put a $35,000 reward for finding Joseph to enlist the help of locals. And that's where the McCoy couple entered the picture. Fred McCoy and his wife Sheila operate a museum dedicated to the historic
My
feud between
Sheila.
Hatfield and McCoy families
I
in
know
Kentucky.
freestyle, that
They
audio
also run a
gets in
small
mine.
YouTube channel dedicated to this museum called Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures, where they discuss the various aspects of that feud in greater detail. After hearing about the massive reward, the couple decided to give it a go. They had lived in the area their entire lives and knew the wilderness well.
$35,000. That's a sweet little piece of money. We're going looking for him. We're hoping he finds us, but we're going looking for this Couch guy, Joseph Couch.
They also decided to live stream their adventure through the Kentucky forest on YouTube, likely to have an instant record of whatever they find. They truly believed they could find him, and luck was on their side. Because during one of their live-streamed expeditions, Fred noticed a whole bunch of vultures hovering over the same area, possibly indicating a rotting corpse nearby. The two decided to head towards the vultures, and just 30 minutes later, the McCoys found what they were looking for.
You found him?
Yo, why is he excited? Bro, that guy is happy. Like if he just won the lottery after finding a dead body.
Oh, my Lanta. I'm coming. Oh, my Lanta.
Oh,
You found him?
he hung himself?
Oh,
He
my Lanta.
deteriorated.
They immediately alerted the
Oh, my
authorities, who used
Lanta.
DNA testing to confirm the body was indeed Joseph Couch. A later autopsy report also confirmed that he went through with the plan he talked about in his message. After 13 days of searching, the I-75 shooter mystery finally came to a close, ending the manhunt and easing the fear of Joseph still being out there. On October 28, 2019, a 47-year-old Japanese man
is
named
crazy,
Tetsu
bro.
Shiohara live-streamed
Like, how
himself
can
climbing
people
Mount
be like
Fuji.
that, bro?
And what was supposed to be nothing more
live
than a
life,
fun
bro.
stream quickly turned into an avoidable tragedy. You see, Tetsu had been climbing Mount Fuji since 2017 and had already reached the summit many times. However, all of those previous expeditions were during the climbing season, which stretches from July to mid-September. And while it's not an easy task, it's far safer during these months with maintained trails, milder weather, and resting huts along the way that also sell essential supplies like food and oxygen cans. So when Tetsu decided to climb the mountain in late October, it was already covered in thick, slippery snow. And the conditions were far harsher than he could have imagined, with winds reaching up to 60 miles per hour. All of the resting spots on the mountain were also closed for the off-season. But despite this being his first off-season climb, the unfavorable conditions did not deter Tetsu. He was determined
he's
to reach
so-
the summit and make it back in a single
He's
day.
asking to die, bro.
Unfortunately, the stream didn't get off to a good start, as he forgot to bring essentials like thicker socks to keep his feet warm and crampons to prevent his shoes from slipping.
I'm not even about to say nothing because
ソックス
you just can't be that
あ
stupid,
靴
bro.
下
Come on, bro.
靴下忘れたいや違う違うバスバス
There's
何が
two people walking?
Later, he also commented on how he didn't bring any food with him to avoid making his backpack too heavy. But as the climb continued, not
No food. Yo,
having
bro.
food became the least of his worries, as he quickly realized the snow that day was deeper than he could have imagined. On his way to the top, he passed several points where the trail had collapsed due to bad weather. About 2 hours into the hike, his viewers started to notice how dangerous things were getting as well, and began urging him to turn back before reaching the summit.
一般人かな。そうやね。いやね。でも山頂まで行けちゃうと思うよ。
However, he ignored all the warning signs and pressed on with the hike, and by sheer
bro.
willpower actually managed to get close to the summit. Sadly, this is where his luck ran out. While treading through a particularly steep section of the trail, Tetsu slipped and fell down the mountainside.
外埋まってんだけど雪で。よし行こう。ここも危ないね。斜面。あ、滑る。Oh my god.
Seconds after slipping,
Oh,
his phone hit a
hell.
rock and turned off, ending the live stream. His viewers immediately alerted the authorities. However, due to the harsh conditions, it took rescue workers 2 days to locate Tetsu's body. They found it severely dismembered, 2,300 feet below the point where he'd slipped.
Oh my.
Now, for most people, this was an open and shut case of an inexperienced and underprepared person misjudging the dangers of Mount Fuji. But I came across some interesting theories regarding the situation. For example, one person stated, I don't think he wanted to go exactly how/where he did on the mountain, but if you ever saw the live stream, you'd know that he definitely was planning on doing it, probably at the top. The chat was begging him to turn back, and he made constant, likely deliberate references to not being fully equipped. Additionally, he had a very ample and generous amount of time to turn around if it had purely been a mistake, with the last few people he met warning him to not go any further. In other words, Tetsu intended to end everything that day. The missing equipment was a deliberate decision, not an oversight. Although there's no evidence to prove this theory, and
Yo,
we'll never
that's
know for sure
sad,
if this was
bro.
actually his intention.
I mean, you could tell in his voice though, he did sound a little bit off. Like
December-
tired, kinda.